What is going on, YouTube people? Neo Cards and Comics here for another edition of the weekly sports card market update. Catching up on news, charts and graphs, the whole 9 yards. In the grand scheme of things, it actually felt like a relatively quiet week. I mean, like, some stuff happened, there's some stuff coming up, but generally speaking, it just kind of felt like your normal everyday week. Nothing super wild and crazy going on, which feels kind of refreshing. There is which I don't know much about it. There's the massive show going on over in Asia. I believe Dan the Cardman's there, and I saw some other content creators on Instagram that were over there. So I have no idea what the vibes are like from that show. I saw some, which not a soccer guy, so like I don't quite grasp it, but I know super high end cards when I see them, and I saw some showcases with some absolutely insane stuff in them. So if anyone happened to be at that show or heard vibes from that show, feel free to fire off in the comments down below. I'm sure some content will come out this week about it, but I know that was going on. I forgot to talk about it last weekend, but the Philly show happened. Vibes from that, I guess, were a little meh. Busy, but not as busy. Seemed to be toning down a little bit. I had my local show earlier today. I'm recording on Saturday early afternoon. It did not seem as busy as it has the last couple months. Now, I'm not doom and glooming here or anything. I think, as we've talked about for years now, it's tricky to get a Saturday free a couple weeks before Christmas. The family needs stuff. You have stuff to do. It's just a very chaotic time of year. Holiday parties, all that nonsense going on. So it becomes a little tricky to slip away for an hour or two to go to a local card show. Also, let's be honest, money's a little tight this time of year for a lot of people. They got Christmas gifts they got to buy, that sort of thing. So it puts a little tightening on everything typically this time of year. So not super surprised by that. It wasn't like tumbleweeds, but it definitely felt like a slower paced show than even last month. I have another local show next week. Technically, I have one tomorrow as well. Northeast Ohio is land of the local shows. I could go to, it feels like 2 to 3 shows every single weekend for the entire month if I wanted to. But Hartville's next weekend. I do plan on usually popping in there as well. I don't think I have anything going on next Saturday. Today's video is sponsored by our good friends over at COMC.com. I actually, I talk about this. I like to send some lower end stuff, $5, $10, $15 cards there that I just don't feel like dealing with on eBay. I recently just sent them a large batch from Marvel Anime. That stuff's already all uploaded. I've already started selling some of that stuff. The other thing that I did involving COMC is, and I've been doing this for a while, and then every once in a while, something cool for my PC will pop up on there, or a card that I really want, and I nab it. I actually just sent a batch of, I think it was like 5 or 6 cards home. I believe they actually ship out on Monday. I just put the process in on Friday for it. So those should be coming back to me hopefully this week. And we'll do a little mail day video with all those. Some really cool PC pickups in there. Some stuff that I've been kind of hunting for that popped up on there that I grabbed. And it kind of feels like free cards because it's just cards that I sit in the sell that I'm using the money for those to buy these cards with. So it's a win-win for me. I trade a stack of random cards taking up space on my desk for a handful of cards that I actually want to own for my collection. So it is a win for everybody. So if you're not on COMC, go check it out. Even if you don't want to sell stuff on there, it's still a great platform for buying. And they just recently had the big eBay investment, so we will see what new features come out with that. I also submitted, I picked up a couple raw Marvel cards that just some cool, like 2020-ish inserts. that don't have a ton on the PSA pop report that I snagged and then reprocessed as elite and sent them in for grading to PSA. It takes a little longer. It's a couple dollars more, but the hassle's not there. So I just did it on platform. So we'll see how those turn out. See those in about 2 months or so, maybe 3. And we'll see how all that tracks out. But like I said, if you're not on COMC, go check them out. Probably the biggest thing that came out this week, and we got the teaser of it. I did the video on Saturday. If you've not had a chance to check that video out, I highly recommend it. And there'll be more on this week as we kind of get the full access. The GemRate launched his universal pop report. The full, I shouldn't say launched. The full pop report will launch this upcoming week. We got the teaser with the iconic 100. I'm not going to go through anything on here. I did a 15-minute video on it yesterday. But keep your eyes peeled for that to come out this week. Really, really fantastic information in there. If you are, a serious collector / investor, care about pop reports, there's a lot of fun data to kind of play around with on there. It'll be interesting and fun to dig into the numbered cards, how many of those have been regraded over and over and over again, how much of this stuff is actually on the pop reports, who grades certain cards easier versus harder. And then there's going to be some other interesting things we can kind of divine from this that we'll talk about once it fully launches and I get a chance to dig around with the full universal pop report. Like I said, it won't be every single set right at launch, but he'll be adding some as time goes on. But a lot of the ones that you're going to want are going to be on there. So if you haven't checked it out yet, you can go over to gemrate.com and get to it that way. And then we'll see what happens when the full universal pop report launches this week. The other kind of big newsy thing, and then also kind of a preview for this upcoming week, 2023 Bowman Draft launches on 12/12 day, as Fanatics is dubbing it. They are really pumping Tom Brady. Tom Brady has autos in this set. We have this one with the custom inscription on it. I just saw right prior to recording that there is already like a $500,000 bounty on this card. This one in particular with the inscription on it. He'll have base and autos. They are extremely limited. It is going to be very hard to pull a Brady anything from 2023 draft, the way that I am understanding it, looking at some of the pack odds and how these cards are numbered and stuff. And I don't know, I'm not a prospect guy. I never have been. I don't pretend to play one on TV. Someone please let me know in the comments down below, is the actual draft class, like the first Bowmans that are going to be in here, is it actually a good checklist? Yes or no? Or is this thing just being pumped by the Brady factor? The reason why I ask this is box prices are insane for this thing. A jumbo box is $500 to $600. This is clocking in at $560 for, and I think it's 3 autos on this. I guess. It just seems expensive to me. I am not one that typically chases, like I said, a lot of Bowman. I usually like buying the wax, the stash. I actually don't have a ton of draft, maybe because it's always super pricey. I have some draft sapphire laying around. And then the super jumbos are $800 a box. Now, I think these are 5 autos. Yeah, 5 autos in the super jumbos. Whew, $800. Is this like in line with where they normally sit? I don't feel like it is, because I've seen a lot of rabble rousing on social about the prices of these boxes. I mean, I guess more power to them. If Panini is gonna get whatever it is, $900 for Prism, and you get, what is it, 1 sticker auto maybe, and you're gonna get smoked on that product most likely. At least they're giving you 5 autos. I don't know. Most of those autos are probably going to be $10 or $15 autos, but let's be honest, the one you're going to hit out of Prism is probably going to be a $10 or $15 auto as well. And hell, Prism football, they don't even have the top guys that you want. But I don't know. This is where I get back to, it does not feel like the prices of wax are in line with reality. To me, they just do not make sense at all. Maybe you all think differently, but I think most of my comment section would agree. The price of wax just does not equate out. There's a couple of things. The hobby has corrected a lot. Singles prices are way down. A lot of things have gotten back to normal. The price of wax hasn't, and really the state of grading hasn't either. That could probably be a video by itself talking about those two topics. But $800 for a super jumbo. Like I said, maybe this class is loaded. Please let me know in the comments down below. But it feels like this product is being really pushed up by the off chance that you pull one of these Brady's. I don't know. Let's just go ahead and transition over to charts and graphs from there. Market movers, link in the description down below. If you want to take advantage of some discounts and check out the product, feel free to do that. Link is down there in the description. Once again, I get questions all the time. Is market movers for me? I honestly don't know. And that's like for you guys. Each individual user is different. Try it out. If you don't like it for a month, cancel it. It's the best thing that I can tell you to do, because every person is going to be different. Soto. We had the Juan Soto trade go down. Covered that in a video earlier this week. Just kind of wanted to check back in again. We've had a few more sales on some of his cards. Some of his stuff is still creeping up. Here is a 30-day look at his first Bowman auto. So if you bought this back like kind of right after the World Series, you're feeling pretty good, most likely. We have BGS 9.5's up 45%, PSA 9's up almost 40%, and PSA 10's up just over 40%. And I believe, last I looked, the next PSA 10 at auction is already at or around this 2.5, 2.6K price. So the next PSA 10 that goes off is probably going to be a little slightly higher than that 2.5. We'll see. I have it favorited. I think it ends Sunday or Monday night, if my memory is correct. And then on his air quotes more common man stuff, this one I went back 60 days on, so a little bit before, right after the end of the regular season. His base is up 60%, base paper. Base chrome is up almost 50%. The pink refractor is up 25%. The rainbow foil is up 30%. His SP variation, the hands-on hips, is up 30%. And then the gold, just a regular gold out of 2018, number to 2018, is up 75% or close to 75% in a PSA 10. Now, the intriguing thing here is how much of that was the Yankees factor? Sure. But as of time of recording, which is a little bit before 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Otani is still a free agent. There was all the Blue Jays nonsense that happened yesterday / last night. It will be interesting if he signs with, let's say, a non-Dodgers team. He goes to the Blue Jays. I don't even remember who else is in the running. It's honestly hard to kind of keep track because it's like fake news all over the place. But let's say he signs with a non-Dodger team. Are we expecting a big price bump just off the news, kind of like we saw with Soto? Or was the Soto thing more about the Yankees? If he would have been traded to the Braves, does he see this much of a run-up, or some other team? How much of Soto's bump is the fact that it is the Yankees and not someone random? And then same question for Otani, depending on where he ends up. Like if it's the Blue Jays, does this stuff even spike at all? If it's the Blue Jays, I would almost wonder if like Vlad and Bo Bichette would have bumps in value because of him going there. I honestly don't know. We'll have to kind of see how it plays out and where he ends up. It still feels like he's ultimately just going to be a Dodger. I don't know. We'll see. But baseball hot stove continues to heat up. It'd be nice for the Otani thing to kind of get done and out of the way and then kind of free up all the other stuff. But that now that the Soto trade happened, it feels like it's the last big kind of hammer to drop. Switch over, talk a little football. We mentioned 2023 Donruss last week on the weekly sports card market update. The CJ Stroud downtowns continue to sell for astronomical sums of money. The first one that I saw did $4K. Then another one sold for $4.7 7K. Whew, man. We talked about the Marvels. One of those sold for 1.25K just the other day. Here is what I did here was just sort 2023 Donruss, just CJ Stroud to kind of see the most valuable cards. Obviously, it's the downtown by a mile. And then the Marvels. Like I said, I actually kind of really like the Marvels card. I think I might actually like it more than the downtown. We have this press proof gold die cut. One of those went for 800 and some bucks. Got the little sides cut out there. It's an okay looking card. Just as regular press proof gold went for 800 bucks. An optic preview went for 600, and then we kind of get down into the more common man stuff. A hollow preview went for 160. We have a red press proof for 110. Actually, not a bad looking card here. You know me and my color matches. This lines up pretty nice. Obviously, paper card. Vortex, which I believe is an insert for 80. Press proof blue, kind of another color match, honestly, goes for 80. The rookies insert goes for 32, and then his base is currently at $18. I am sure we will start seeing these pop up in SGC and PSA slabs any day now. I would not be surprised if someone sent a handful of these in at like a very fast PSA turnaround level. It would kind of be an interesting experiment to pull that off. You're really racing against the clock. It would be super scary. But, you know, pay a $75 per card fee to try to get some of these back and be the first to market with a PSA 10. You'd honestly probably do pretty well. Remember, we are like 2 years, or a year removed from, 2 years removed from a Mac Jones PSA 10 selling for multiple thousands of dollars. It never ceases to amaze us. We talk about it every time this happens with an NBA hoops or a Donruss like this, where the first PSA 10 out of the gate goes for some crazy amount, and we all go, "What the hell are we all doing here?" So I wouldn't be surprised if we see the exact same thing with these. Card probably would look pretty decent in a tux just because of the white border. Those cards tend to pop out better. So far, holding its value okay, kind of in that $20 range. It's over the last 30 days. It's about as long as the product's been out. This product's been extremely hot. Hobby boxes, I think, are flirting with around 300 bucks a box, 270 to 300. I think they are selling extremely well as people are chasing those downtowns. Now, I mentioned the downtown. That is the SSP version. Went for 4.7K. I was kind of curious where that ranked with other rookie downtowns. It is the most expensive by a country mile. Josh Allen, now to be fair, this one is not sold since May, but it would probably be down anyway if it sold. Last sold for 2K. The Joe Burrow at the end of October went for 1.2K. Herbert went for 1.1 about 2-3 weeks ago. The Jalen Hurts about 10 days ago went for $1,000. Trevor Lawrence, that one's out of Clearly, went for 900. Another Joe Burrow went for 800. Sheesh. Do we really think the Stroud is worth 3x, almost 4x the Burrow? What do we think? That is actually 4x. Pretty close to 4x. Which would you rather have? The Burrow, 4 Burrows, or the Stroud? Talk about absolutely hype hysteria. I know, Burrow's hurt, whatever. The Herbert one's probably way too expensive. Really, these are probably all way too expensive regardless of the player. But that Stroud just looks way out of whack with the rest of these. If you pulled one of these things, I'd be selling fast as humanly possible, in my opinion. I just do not see how this holds a record price, basically, for a downtown. I think this truly comes down to supply versus demand. There is a drastic amount of demand for CJ Stroud with very little supply because the sets just haven't came out yet. Now, there is an asterisk on this one. Since he really doesn't have a rookie auto outside of the Panini Instant, people will have this thought that his higher end and more short printed inserts and cards like that will have increased value because of the lack of autos. So I don't know if I necessarily believe in that, but I know a segment of people will, and that could potentially drive up the price as well. Speaking of football, let's look at some other guys. Dak Prescott over the last 60 days really turned things around. Now, if I blew this chart out and went from the beginning of the season till now, his cards are basically flat. They have not really gone up if you bought at the beginning of the season. However, as the season went on, his prices actually dipped, which he's been playing pretty well all season long. This is over the last 60 days. They kind of bottomed out in early October. Over the last 2 months, his stuff is way up. His silver PSA 10 Prism is up almost 75%, and his Optic Hollow PSA 10 is almost up 50%, and you could really just go across the board. I just happened to pick these two because they had a decent amount of sales. Dak stuff is up all over the place as they look like potentially, I mean, obviously the 49ers, but the Cowboys are kind of right there with them in the NFC as teams to beat. So Dak stuff has rebounded nicely. Over the years, we've talked about this. Finding the right player to buy in season is sometimes where you get the right deals. Now, risky, you got to guess right, or use your intuition or your whatever to pick the correct players. But sometimes you could get really good deals on players in season. We saw this happen the year that Burrow went to the Super Bowl. He was having a pretty decent season. Started a little slow, but was playing okay-ish. Card prices went down in season. He got super hot at the end of the year, and then they went to the moon. And then we were kind of off and running. Maybe potentially the same thing here with Dak, but a nice bounce back from his all-time lows in season. Brock Purdy. Brock is back. Not all the way back. I blew this one out to 180 days. This takes it back to the early summer. If you bought like around the NFL draft, let's call it, you're up 135%. This card did peak in mid-October. PSA 10 silver got all the way up to around 1.2, 1.3K. And then he kind of went on that little streak. They lost to the Browns. I think they lost to somebody else. He wasn't playing as well. People were starting to question things. And he dipped back down again, just almost kind of like that. Dak didn't have the run up, but still, it doesn't take long. A couple bad weeks, and look at how much it drops. 1.3, and then it got all the way down to around $700. Well, now they're on a run again. They've been playing great. They just smacked the Eagles around, and now it is back up to around that $900 to $1,000-ish mark over basically the last month or so, almost a month exactly. So roller coaster ride so far for Brock. Regardless if you bought at the beginning of the season, like before the season really kicked off or around the National, you were in the green. You ideally probably should have sold somewhere on this swing up. We'll see where things go from here. It's obviously just going to come down to how deep of a playoff run can they make. Team's really good. They look like a completely different team. Basically what happened here is they didn't have Deebo Samuel. And then they got Deebo Samuel back, and then he started playing extremely well again. So I don't know if it's quite as simple as that, but it does seem like Deebo kind of unlocks things for Brock a little bit as one of his main weapons. Obviously, he has a ton of weapons on that team, but Deebo seems to really move the needle for him. Let's close out with just a little bit of basketball. I'd lose my content creator badge if I did not talk about Tyrese Haliburton. I am recording this prior to the in-season tournament finale. That's actually going to happen later tonight. I guess I will lean Pacers. They kind of seem like the team of destiny in this thing, though I'll tell you what, LeBron smacked Zion all over the court in the semifinals game. But the story so far, really of this entire NBA season and now this tournament, has been Tyrese Haliburton. He has just been playing out of his absolute mind all year long and in the in-season tournament. Like I said, I don't know what's going to happen tonight. You all know by the time you're watching this. The surprising thing is his card prices really haven't moved that much. I don't know if this is a Pacers thing. If he has a big night tonight, we'll see what happens. But this is prior to, like I said, that game happening. I went back 90 days. So this goes back to before the season started. The season starts around Halloween. Really not much happened in the lead up. His Optic Hollow is only up 20%. His base Prism is up 50%. and his silver prism's only up 12%, sitting at around 400 and some bucks. Last one sold on 12/8, so that was Friday. That was after the in-season tournament game, the semifinals, where he went absolutely crazy. So we'll see if he beats LeBron. Maybe then he gets a little bit of respect, but his card prices aren't exactly going wild. Now, I have seen some of his higher end stuff, his lower numbered stuff, have had a little bit more extreme jumps. But his mid end, as I like to kind of call it, the common man card, the silvers, the hollows, the bases, just have not had that exponential growth like I would expect. Earlier this week, I thought for sure his stuff would be way up, and I was actually kind of surprised when I ran these. I mean, to be in the green period, the way things are going is pretty good, but I just expected those to be up a lot higher. He is playing really, really well. Pacers are like a really, really good team. They have the ability to go out and acquire more talent because they have a lot of flexibility with their own draft picks and salaries and things like that. We'll see what happens, but Tyrese is an interesting one that just does not seem like the price has caught up with him yet. And I own 0 of his cards. I don't own a single Tyrese Haliburton card. I guess I do technically have a couple sealed boxes of 2020 Optic retail floating around, like the retail, 24, 36 pack boxes. I have some of those laying around. I don't know if wax has moved really at all. Probably not. But the single prices just have not gone super, super crazy yet. They are up. Like I said, I've seen a lot of demand for them. But like the silvers and stuff just aren't spiking up. Could have all changed by the time you're watching this. It's always weird recording these early when there is a major sporting event happening later, and I don't know what the results of it, and you guys and girls all do. So that's all I got for you, boys and girls. We will catch you later this week. I have no idea what I have planned for content for this week besides digging into the Universal Pop Report once it fully launches. I am behind on a mail day video, but I'll probably wait for the COMC stuff to show up at this point. And I got a few other things, a few other little irons in the fire, but catch you boys and girls tomorrow. Peace.